If you saw the title and you're clicking on this video and work and whatever, you might be asking, why is an author making a board game? Well, simple. Because marketing in so many ways, just simply put, no longer works. Before I begin, I am editing my future fantasy book at 3 times speed to the side, and don't mind the books at the bottom. You see, they're trying out my game, and I'm getting so much feedback. Some good, some bad. So I'm J.J. Bartell, author, botanist, historian, and gamer, and my past vids have been about how to become a better author, but haven't really talked about being a botanist, historian, or a gamer. Yet gaming has influenced some aspects about how I write books, and many of them for the better. Physical, digital, and a lot of games are just about identifying a solution to a problem in a meaningful way, and games are all about dealing with hard problems and winning despite the difficulties. And marketing is a meaningful problem that an author has to win against. Now, imagine for a moment that you make a bad choice in front of your crush, and now, because of a bet, you have to walk up a massive mountain. And after 3 hard days of struggle, you finally hit that mountain peak. You call your buds and you crush, in the group chat, voice shaking, that you have just won this bet. You expect your buds to sing your praises, your crush to be impressed. Instead, silence. Because they're not impressed. The bet was to hike 2 mountains, and the second one is taller than the one you're currently on. And that's what marketing feels like as a self-published author. You learn as much as you can, you write and rewrite, maybe even hire an editor to polish it up, and you try to publish your book, and all the technicals look unclimbable. Even a simple ebook has cover art, copyright, Library of Congress obligations, legal double and triple checks, and all of that before trying to share your book across Amazon ads, conventions, and so much more, to desperately trying to get those words that you have written into someone else's life. And man, as a human being that's not using AI to write my books, I do use Grammarly, but I don't use the AI process in there. But as someone that wants to add to your life with my words, I, like many authors, don't like marketing. It feels like I'm trying to trick you into getting stuff you don't need. And I kind of do like minimalism. There's a certain element that appeals to me, and I don't want my books to have to be the junk you have to get rid of to have a better life. So how do you market books without any human sacrifice on my end or my customers? Or my readers, however you want to phrase it. See, some of the best marketing is not even marketing at all. Transmedia storytelling is not a new form of drag queen story hour, but it's an odd kind of marketing, also known as cross-media expansion. Think about something like Pokemon, one of the biggest franchises out there in the world, if not the biggest. And it's not just because Pokemon Red and Blue back in September 28, 1998, was released in the United States. It's not just all the games that came after, but it's also the cartoon, the anime, card game, plushies, shirts, and so much more. The famous Witcher games, especially the Witcher 3 games, started as books. Harry Potter started as books and became a beloved movie series, in large part because of John Williams making the music for the first 3 movies. Goosebumps only got more love with the TV show and campy movies. Lord of the Rings has Lego sets. Multiple Lego sets. Cross-media expansion allows people to get more of what they like in a different form. So why can't I? Why can't I do that for my future readers? So if marketing is a big reason why most books fail, and most traditional marketing fails and cross-media allows you to connect with others, then why can't I do that? Could my next book be about a boy trying to find himself in a dangerous world of monsters and an evil that comes back every generation? Can I do it with that book? So in the book, actually I was thinking about this, and there's a game. A boardless board game that people can play. It's a bit like a trading card game in our world, where part of the thrill of the game is that no 2 decks are entirely the same. It's a way to express yourself. And what if that game was made in our realm? first attempt was to just say, nah, this is silly. It's going to be too much work. It's going to distract me from making the book. And I want to try to publish at least 1 to 2 books every single year. And it seemed like too much work. I could do something else for marketing. But then I looked at my books. Then I looked at Amazon and I saw how much I was selling. And, well, okay. Maybe it's less work than not being good at marketing. Maybe this would actually be something to try. Because I'm used to thinking in video games, well, for a boardless board game, what if I made a video game with about and all about this boardless board game? So, second attempt, downloaded Godot, a video game engine, started looking up all sorts of tutorials, and about 4.5 hours in or so of just kind of this, I realized I could either have the game or the book, but I probably couldn't do both. So I had to scrap that for now. But I still have Godot, and I'm going to keep it in mind. Maybe in the future something might actually work. Third attempt, a board game. But in the book, it's a boardless board game. So the cards are the board. I will admit in the early drafts I didn't quite elaborate on how this game functioned or worked, but I did make allusions to it in the grander scheme of it. And in the book, there are cards that allow you to move around, and cards that can power up your character. Dice are your tokens that move around, and what you literally roll. So, you know what? Let's go literal. Let's have a boardless board game where players move tokens across a card map that they can organically form in the play session. Players can also place monsters to fight other players, players can cooperate or fight each other, and each player has a specific set of traits that allows them to have certain advantages but also disadvantages. And it would be good for the game to work single and multiplayer. Yes, as I was brainstorming, this seemed like a really good idea. But, like any marketing, you have to consider price. Would I have to overcharge a final product to break even? Would the cost of materials kill everything? I briefly searched around, and custom player cards and multicolored dice are actually quite cheap, compared to actually trying to make a original, board game board. And they're actually quite nice to buy in bulk. This might be a game that actually is not going to break my wallet to produce and to get to other people. It was time to, as, game developers say, it was time to prototype. So I had some blank index cards, 4x6 cards, lying around. Now, each card, was too big for it to be like realistic playing card simulations, but I cut them in half so that the cards turn from, 4x6 to 3x4 inches. Now, that's still larger than a normal playing card set at 2.5 times 3.5 inches, but it's a close enough size to act as a prototype. I was trying for 52 cards to mimic an actual card deck, but I ended up with a deck of 56 cards that I was insanely happy with. I designed some random names for characters, nobles, archers, spell shooter, a few others. Well, characters need to have a start, so I made a domain entrance, because the monster dungeons are called domains in the book, so I wanted to stay on brand, on theme. Now, the domain entrance has triangles on the sides. That, I was hoping, would actually solve a problem. So I don't want the game to be instantly over. See, after characters and the entrance, I made treasure rooms. So characters go from the entrance, enter the treasure room, and exit back to the domain. Players could draw a treasure room turn 1, place it, move in back, and win before anyone else has a chance to play. And that's just not good. But in the book, terrain is varied, so why not have a lot of terrain cards? Therein lies the solution. Cards that easily link up to the domain entrance but can't link up to treasure rooms. So some grassland empty room cards link up to hill cards, and the hill cards link up to mountain cards, and the domain treasure areas only link up to mountain cards. This means your character has to go from a domain entrance to the plains, hills, mountains, and back again. Even if they get lucky, that's way more movement. It's more interesting, not just for you, but for everyone who plays, single player or multi. Having some cards where you can only go left or right, or up and down, also makes movement more interesting. Now, movement doesn't matter much if there are no monsters, so I made some monsters, one berry bush goop, and a more powerful beast. But How does combat work? I figured that as a part of what makes characters special is that they would have numbers at the bottom of their cards. Cards like spell shooters would have only one but a big number, while summoners would have smaller numbers but 4 numbers. The idea is that when a character encounters a monster, there's a fight. Instead of trying to keep track of like health points or anything like that, you would just simply roll a 6-sided die. The first number plus your roll against the monster's first number. If your number was higher, then you would win. If a monster had 2 or more numbers, you had to beat all of their numbers. This also means that different monsters could be beginner monsters for different characters. So a monster with a single 3 would be an instant win for a spell shooter with a single 4. But a monster with a 2-2 against a noble with a 2-2 would also be an instant win. But if you switched the characters against the monsters, they wouldn't have guaranteed wins, which would make for more interesting starts. Now, once I was committing bird violence, for fun, resources ended up being the next thing I had to figure out. So I want characters to get stronger as they venture into the domain, and I want treasure rooms to be impossible to access right away, even with perfect 6s on the rolls. Resources would be a way to make things work. Die resources and character-specific resources. So if you get a die card, you get to add that die to a character. So a spell shooter with a 1 die card goes from just a plain 4 to a 4-1. Which gives you an advantage on monsters that require multiple rolls. Resource cards, I wanted to make them different. Resources could add a +1 to any roll, but if you got a resource that matched your character, like an arrow to an archer guard, you could double a dice roll. Virtually every character had doubling resources in play. And when people can trade resources on their turn, oh man. I was really expecting some human interconnection here. You could draw 3 cards and have 2 actions that you could do each turn. Placing monsters, land, moving, attacking would all just be like 1 action. And outside of some minor rules I'm not going to cover now, I made each character have a quirk that allowed them to bend or break a rule, like drawing extra cards, being able to move monsters, attacking other players without penalty, or something along those lines. And it was really unexpectedly good. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to be very honest with you. You see, I was expecting that this rough, ramshackle, half strewn together over the course of some whatever, just to be boring. I was expecting my first game to be 20 minutes of boring, dull play. The first game I played as a solo player and picked the noble. And what happened next was 14 turns of actually ever-growing fun. In under 30 minutes, I was done with that game, and I wanted to play it again. The next 3 games were a blur of building out maps, carefully fighting monsters, and the tense road of getting back to the goal. Monsters that some characters could easily beat right away were actual threats on other characters. Bad rolls were actually dangerous. I had to take risks. I had to think and calculate. And at the 3rd game upset, a clutch roll on a bonfire cardinal turned the game's loser into a winner. I realized I could actually market this. This thing might actually have a shot. I could write a book, make a tie-in boardless board game, do some cross-platform marketing, all the while adding to my readers' and gamers' lives while not being a marketing monster. So I did the best, worst thing I could have done. I took it to my friends. And that is gonna have to be a new video, detailing the successes and failures of this crazy game, because this one just got way out of hand. I mean, this video is way too long as it is, and the future vid is coming out in the near future, so please subscribe. It's my channel and the like is all about how to write better books and author a better life for yourself. And also game making tangents and whatever else I find interesting that I want to share with you. If you want to support my card game or my writing for now, feel free to purchase my books that I have in the description below. In future videos, when this work is far more finished and polished, I'm also going to try to include a link to this very card game so that you can buy a copy for yourself. And never forget to keep writing the magic in your marketing. One card game, one bookmark, one special mug, one deluxe edition at a time.